Hello, everyone. This is Auto Asphyxiation. It's Lark.
And Kimberly.
That's right. Okay, so we've had an interesting long week. The long shutdown uh, ended Sunday. Was it Sunday? It was Sunday, correct? Sunday or Monday? Sunday or Monday?
Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, Sunday night, Monday morning. Let's give you a little bit of background information in case you have been on another planet. And on October 1st, 2025, the federal government of the United States entered a shutdown at midnight after the U.S. Congress failed to pass appropriations legislation for the 2026 fiscal year, which began that day. And the kind of people are probably like wondering, well, what were the Democrats fighting for? And I'm like saying, what were people fighting for? People who were for the people, what were they fighting for? And essentially, I got this from Bernie Sanders' site. The Republicans' proposal to pass their clean quote, those in quotes, resolution would mean that 15 million Americans will next year be thrown off of health care. They currently have, all because of the big, beautiful bill. They made massive cuts to Medicare. Essentially, like 50,000 people were going to die unnecessarily, according to studies. 15 million people will be thrown off their health care. I mean, people's rates and subsidies were going to go up a substantial amount. And he says it's because, it's going to give tax breaks, $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. I have other thoughts of why he's doing this, but that is one of the, material reasons that he's doing this. And essentially, when they shut things down, when they didn't pass this, well, essentially when they had to shut down, a lot of federal agencies shut down. A lot of the federal workers were not working. It was pretty awful. And
And
go
people
ahead.
weren't getting their SNAP benefits.
Yes, people were not getting the SNAP benefits. It was people were hungry. People. This is going to be a time that we're going to remember for a very long time. I'm going to remember. I'm traumatized. I did not have to. Thankfully, I did not have to get SNAP, but it was disturbing to watch people line up on the street for food. This is something that, we know we have people who are poor in the United States, but it was the amount of people, because not only did people who had SNAP not have food, people who are federal workers didn't have food because they didn't have paychecks.
It was a long-ranging hit against people to remind them who is in power.
Exactly. And I think that this is something that we really have to keep our mind on the ball. This is not simply about tax cuts. It is about tax cuts, but it's also very much about power. As a term I like to use, hegemony. It's very much about hegemony and how they use, hegemony and power, and just how they use it to wield it to essentially, subjugate us and get us on our knees. And I'm going to talk about, a lot of times a lot of people use the term Lucy Parsons, because we have a lot of kind of people right now, and they're kind of like, oh, they use the quote by Lucy Parsons. And the thing about Lucy Parsons is that, and it's kind of chilling, is that we are in a similar era that she was in. Betrayal of Reconstruction, and the violent suppression of labor, not that Reconstruction, but post Reconstruction, and the violent suppression of labor. And essentially, she said, never be deceived. The rich will allow you to vote away your wealth. And I say, that's very interesting, but I feel that people are interpreting that quote incorrectly. The wealthy and the boards they sit on have spent 50 years proving her point, souring the public on voting through restrictive laws, targeted policies, and relentless propaganda. The truth is, voting remains one of our most potent tools the public possesses, and Congress is the engine of power in the U.S. system. The imperial presidency is a myth. The president administers Congress's will. So this is, you know what I mean? And I think that a lot of times when people, even like with the court, we think about the Warren Court and all the great things the Warren Court did, and we kind of just assume like we could just take it to the Supreme Court. And people don't understand that, for years, hundreds of years, like, for decades, you know, um, during civil rights, when the civil rights movement essentially, started, since, the first part, since post Reconstruction, we didn't have the courts on our side to get rights for from African Americans, for women. This was Congress that gave us a lot of our power, and I don't think a lot of people really know that. And I mean, like, what are your thoughts, like,
No,
Kimberly? Like,
I totally agree with you. I think that yes, the Supreme Court does hold a lot of power, but the power pales in comparison to the power of Congress. And that is how our founders and our framers designed our Constitution and our government, was for the representatives of the people, Congress, to have the greatest power out of all the branches of government.
and I know a lot of people are kind of like, well, that's weird. Isn't it like all branches of government are equal? And like, no, that's not what I mean. Just because it's separation of powers doesn't mean that they all have the same amount of power. Um, and I'll tell you why. The U.S. representative essentially, and I'm having this conversation because something I thought was very interesting. I was having a conversation online, and Congress essentially, in the midterms, 435 seats essentially, are up for election. Those essentially, those seats are very, very, like, important, and I'll get into that because Article 1 is actually the longest part of the Constitution. It talks all about the House of Representatives, and um, the House of Representatives, I kind of keep jumping around, but the House of Representatives, they essentially, create the laws, fund the laws. I mean, they have so much power. But the thing is that the House members only serve 2-year terms, 2-year terms. And some people go, well, that's weird because, well, how can you get anything done? But here they are supposed to represent the people. You know how we have I'll talk about participatory budgeting, participatory zoning. It was viewed that the House of Representatives, the reason why there was so much, you change every 2 years because you're supposed to do what the people say, and if you don't do what the people say, they throw you out. So it's
Exactly.
supposed to be very kind of this close connection. In contrast to the Senate, where the Senate is like every 6 years, they have 6-year terms, and essentially their elections, a third of them go up for election every 2 years. So it's kind of like staggered. So the Senate is not more powerful than the House of Representatives. Of course, like I said, each branch doesn't have equal power or have all power, but it isn't the House by far. If you look at how it is created, or how it's we say we call it figured configured, you see that is truly the voice of the people.
And it's in the name, House of Representatives. They represent the people. They're the closest to the people. I think a lot of people don't really understand that you can reach out to your congressperson to help you with a lot. Like if you're struggling with, like tenants laws, just to name the first one off the top of my head, you can contact your congressperson and they will go to bat for you. That's their job, is to go to bat for their constituents. And you can see it now with congresspeople like AOC running food drives, going to food pantries, lining up with her constituents at food banks so that they know that they're not alone. Like that's what the House of Representatives is supposed to be, a representative of the people. And obviously, the representatives, the direct representatives of the people would have the most power in government. And also, they would have to turn over much more quickly because if they're not doing the will of the people, then they got to go.
I think a lot of us, we kind of looked at what happened with the Senate, and we were like very disappointed, like, oh no, like this is, these, and I want to also to talk about that. I hear a lot of people kind of um saying, well, we should give up. We can't, we cannot give up. And
No.
also we have to look at the fact that that wasn't all of the Senate. That was 40 members of Senate. And let's not even look at it from let's not look at it from the standpoint of 60 members of Senate. Let's look at it from the standpoint of not Democrat, Republican. I would say 60 fascists and 40 people for the people. And this is how we have to look at it. We can't look at it as, well, see, this party's trash. No, no. So because the thing is, this is that we have met so many people, both Kimberly and I are of age where people have children that can vote. And we've spent so much time discussing the Democratic Party and not in a very nuanced way, where a lot of people's children of leftists are part of the Republican Party because no one has critiqued them. And not only that, we have these conversations so much where we have, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she has a point. Rand Paul has a point. And I'm kind of like in my own head, well, this whole idea of the Democrats are all trying to trick you, but Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Greene are, they say something that you appreciate like one time after all the vile, horrible things that she said. She said a lot of anti-Semitic, racist, sexist commentary. And Rand Paul, his whole thing is we can't have ACA because then I have to actually touch Black people. I mean, that's his entire thing. And we're like, oh, but they're having good faith. It's kind of like this. How can you be okay with that, but just hate every Democratic Party member? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I totally agree with you. It doesn't make sense. It's just like generalizing all Black people into one silo or all Jewish people into one silo. You're lumping all of the Democrats together when obviously these last 8 people who voted they're the ones that need to be primaried. It is not the entire lump of Democrats that you can say are responsible for the vote the other night, because they weren't. It was 8 people that decided to jump over with the Republicans and put the government back into business with very little but a whisper of a promise.
They pinky swear that they will definitely talk over. Yeah, I mean, it's very disturbing, but also if you think about this, 25% of that 8 were supposed to be the people's champion. Fetterman and Angus King. Those were 2, like Angus King's an independent and Fetterman was supposed to be the person that was going to buck the trend. So this whole argument, this idea, well, we have to get away from people who are like part of the mainstream Democrats. We have to get rid of people who are beholden to corporations and not beholden to the people. But we can't just all of a sudden, we can't all of a sudden just get someone who's just okay, how can I say this? Too many times when we decide we want to like empty, to change course in the United States, a lot of times that often means reactionary populist. It
Yes.
doesn't mean like left-winging people. It means turning within and being very selfish. I think about Angus King. People are like, well, he's a good person in Maine who's independent and voted to reopen the government. The reason he did that is because there's been in rural America and in Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire, not Bernie so much, but New Hampshire, there has been, when austerity measures are put forth on the majority of us in urban America, most of America lives in urban America, essentially there's carve-outs for rural America. And for so very long, they didn't have to care about what happened to the rest of the country. And the people, their constituents, were completely fine with that. They were completely fine, in rural America, they were completely fine with domestics and farm workers being cut out of the national labor rights legislation and not being able to be under, essentially not being able to unionize, not being able to have rights as everyone else. They also had a situation where in the rural United States, when you are on food stamps, the work requirements, oh, well, there are no jobs in rural America. So you don't have to, you can get SNAP without the work requirement. In Utah, with the Mormon Church, they essentially have single payer. So
yeah,
you have, in Idaho, if you go to the Mormon Church, they essentially have single payer. In Alaska, they have a basic income through the
Yes.
dividend, through the oil. So it's kind of like for many parts of America, you have a situation where these people who were in isolated areas and rural areas and predominantly white areas, were getting carve outs. And so this is the first time we've seen it in real time. You notice who decided to stand up and not stand up, but who decided to cave. New Hampshire, Maine. It's really not shocking who decided to sell us out, because they have always sold us out. And that's a conversation that we need to have. New Hampshire, um, um, Maine, you are part of the United States. And this whole idea you're living in this little wonderland separate from all of us, you're not separate from all of us. You want to have your cake and eat it too. You don't get to do that and get to say you're a nice person. Like, we're nice people here in Maine. You're not a nice person. If this is what this is what your representative here's, and everyone's kind of acting brand new now, but this is what their representatives have been doing for decades. And this
Yes.
is why they cut all this stuff, because this is the first time they felt pain. That's why a lot of these farmers are like, people, well, they FAFO, they fucked around and found out. But see, the thing is, this is that they had been doing this the entire time. This is the first time they've had to feel the pain that they voted for everyone else.
Yes. And it's an alarming and difficult wake-up call, but it's a wake-up call that they need. It's just unfortunate that so many other people have to suffer as a result of their own wake-up call.
This is true, and this is a amplified version of what happens. That's been happening for the last 50 years, as they have tried to dismantle the Civil Rights Act, which opened the social contract to a larger group of people. Where the social contract at one point was a white-only benefit, between the 1940s and 1970, which is like the end. Kimberly and I got to come along right when all these things ended. Yay for us. But I mean, and here, I acknowledge and I feel for everybody. I understand that you're like frustrated and you want to disengage, but you know, as people have said, the system did not fail. One part of it did, and we have a chance in 2026 to re-elect 435 representatives. And I don't want us to look at it this way as Democrat or Republican. I want us to look at that's 435 chances to give this country back to the people. I don't think we should be like, oh, we only care about the Democratic areas. No, we should care about any place that still cares about America.
Yes.
In New Jersey, we
In
have
actual America, like the America that includes everybody and everybody gets a fair shot, not whatever screwed up cult thinks of America.
exactly. And I think about, one of the really bright points of Tuesday, well, last Tuesday was I'm sorry, still doing it wrong. Mikey Sherrill. It showed every single county in New Jersey said no to fascism.
Yes.
They all stood up and said no to fascism. And we had kind of been doing kind of poorly. And I feel that a lot of people, of course, New York, amazing, amazing, but
Amazing.
amazing, but in New York City. But the thing is that I think and I'm not just saying this because I'm in New Jersey. I feel like the bigger story is New Jersey, because okay, it's going to be easy to get, okay, not easy in regards to you're fighting a whole bunch of money, but to get suburban moms, working class moms, South Jersey, North Jersey. I mean, New Jersey is a very diverse place. We have a
Don't
lot of
don't forget the Italians, Lark.
yes, we have a. I didn't even mean it that way, but yes, they would actually pop in and say that and talk. We're minorities too. Okay, yes, you are. But everybody came together And they were like, no, absolutely not. And this same thing could happen. If this could happen, and to me, I feel like people say that Wisconsin's the Midland or the heart or the heart of America. I'm going to say this, and you guys can fight me in the comments. New Jersey is the heart of America, is
I
the heart and
agree.
soul of America. And if New Jersey can do this, you can do this.
New Jersey is a crossroads of not only the revolution, but America. And I have traveled and lived in a lot of other places around the country. And there's a reason why I came back here. And it's not just because the pizza and bagels are superior to literally everywhere. It's because New Jersey is a very special kind of place. It's a hard place to get along in. It's a hard place to get ahead. But there's something undeniable here. And I think you hit it on the head. I think that New Jersey is in fact the heart of America. They want to call us the armpit, but you know what's right in your left armpit? Your heart.
Well, that was beautiful, Kimberly. And I mean, and yeah, so I mean, this is, I think, so important. And, another thing that's important is like, our representatives. I don't think people quite understand how much power we have. And that is on purpose. They don't want you to know that every 2 years, every single one of those seats are up for grabs. We have a chance to reimagine this country, not every 4 years,
Every
not
two
every 6 years,
years.
every 2 years. We have a chance to reimagine this country. And I feel that if you believe that and if you understand that, and I don't care how you make it happen, but make sure that you right now are making a plan to vote, making a plan to make sure that we say no to MAGA, that we say no to fascists, because we this is a beautiful place. It would be horrible if it fell owing to that orange bastard. I mean,
It would. And like we're not, it's very easy to feel powerless, but we are not powerless. And I think that the governor election in New Jersey really proves that. I think it proves that we are the voice and we can take this government back for the people by the people. And it will be a lot easier to do if people vote pragmatically.
vote pragmatically. Remember, you have the situation where you have the primaries and you have the general. Fight it out. Well, if you guys have a primary, fight it out in your primaries. And then do a meditation, a prayer, whatever you have to do. But you need to go, I accept what the answer is here with the primary and the general. That is who the person is. And whoever is the person that is not MAGA, vote for them. I know you're like, well, I need to be inspired. Well, are you inspired by watching people? Have you been inspired these few weeks? People starving, not getting paid,
Thank
flights being
you.
canceled. I think I'm inspired to not have that happen again. Please,
I
God, please.
this is the inspiration that you need to take. You're not going to find your perfect candidate. I'm never going to find Leia Organa solo. It's not going to happen. I want it to happen, but it's not going to happen. So I'm going to find the person that aligns with my morals the best. And that's the person, not MAGA, that is going to get my vote because that is the pragmatic decision. Because I know that Leia Organa Solo is not going to be running for office anytime soon in the United States.
Exactly. And we have, just those, those senators that were disappointments. They're not up for election, but that doesn't matter. It's temporary. That's temporary. All these things are temporary. And this is what's so wonderful. We have a chance to renew. This is a let this inspire you. Let this make you go, I'm going to make sure that we are going to have people who are accountable. Call your congressman right now. Start calling them right now. Don't wait until like the week before the election. Start bothering them right now. Say, I need for you to stand up for the people. I need for you to stand up for the people. If you want to come back into Congress, I need for you to stand up for the people. That's all you need to be doing right now. Like keeping in touch, seeing who's your congressperson. Who's going to be running? What are their ideas? What have they voted on? what, and if we want our Congress people to, how can we change the situation so the Congress people don't have to depend on donations from rich people? Once we get that Congress that we want, can we do like campaign finance reform? So
Yeah.
essentially, you don't need at least starting off $500,000. I mean, I think
Get
about
get rid of Citizens United.
exactly, get rid of dismantle, like get rid of Citizens United. I think about myself, like, wow, I would might want to run for Mikey Sherrill's seat, but I can never do that because I don't have $500,000, and people who are coming for her seat already right now, raising $500,000. This is something that, regular people can't compete against that. So, but in order to do that, in order to do public campaign reform, in order to get rid of Citizens United, we need the House. This is what we need. We need the House. I know the senators seem very sexy, all this stuff, because they get 6 years, and we've seen it, but the Senate, it does not have as much power as
No.
the House. The Senate gets, the Senate just doesn't have as much power, just like the president. The president, and I know, no, I say this, the president is our Girl Friday. The president right now is currently breaking the law, but the president is an administrator. They are not, they do not, they are the practitioners, the theory, the system, all of that is from our House of Representatives, which means that is from us. That is from you. You can
It
make laws. You can do all of these things.
It's really an inverted pyramid when you think about it. And when you think about any place that you've worked, if you've worked in a corporate environment, like that head vice president or vice president of service or CEO of whatever that you have at your office is basically an administrator. That's how business works. That's how government works. Like it is a top-down pyramid. The power is at the very top, and it's the most. That's Congress, and then it funnels down to the president, who just signs off on things. We know that the orange bastard is committing felony after felony after felony, but we have an opportunity in the midterms. If we are positive and we make a plan to get out there and vote, we have an opportunity to really take back this country.
And with that, I hope that we gave you a little bit of glimmer of hope. I know a lot of people are very sad right now. And that's okay. It's okay to be sad, but you know what? You get sad, you move on. And you make your next plan. The next plan isn't just to do nothing and just, and be angry online, just type things. You have to be hopeful, and you have to think about the future. And the future means you need to, like, okay, get over it. I know it. I'm sorry. You got to get over it, move on, go to the next thing, go to the next step. We have a plan, stick with the plan. No Kings is a good place to go to help you focus on what you need to be doing. And remember, you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you to do something. Like Kimberly said, reach out to your representatives, find out what they're doing. Remember, they are your representatives, and use them the way you should. As a, they work for you. They are you. They essentially are your rep for the country. I know it sounds weird, but remember that, and don't forget that, and don't lose hope. We got, what they say, keep hope alive. Was that, who said that?
I don't know, but they want you to lose hope. So don't lose hope, because that's how they get in, and that's how they make you feel like nothing will ever change. The only constant in the universe is change. This too is temporary. This too will pass, but we have to make it temporary, and we have to make it pass.
Well, that was beautiful, Kimberly. So with that, we are going to sign off, and please remember to subscribe, and we'll be doing more stuff soon. All right. Bye bye.
Thanks for listening.